Good morning, everybody, or good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. How are you all doing today? I hope you're well. It's the end of month 38. Yeah, I think it's 38. Wowzers, on a slightly drizzly, damp morning in London. That's fine. If it saves me going to the garden to water, hallelujah. So yes, I hope you're all well. Like I say, here I am at the end of the month, just mulling over how this month has been. And I'm just going to warn you, I've got some stuff to say today which is on the negative side of stuff. But as always, I'm finding the positives, and we're going to end with some really, really positive stuff. So, I've been mulling over whether I wanted to talk about this today or not. Yeah, for the last couple of weeks I've mulled it. And I thought, you know what, yes, I am going to talk about it because I think that anything that is affecting my life and the way I conduct myself, etc., well, that gets included. You know me by now. And also, hopefully, those of you who've been watching for some time will know that, you know, the vast majority of material I put out is me being ridiculously giddy, excited, or just happy, chilled, zen in the garden, excited in the kitchen when I'm tasting something. I need to get back in the kitchen. You know, I would hope that my channel, if nothing else, is a source of positivity and enthusiasm and joy for you all. But I don't shy away from the tough times and the tough subjects. And every now and again they come up, and, you know, I deal with these things head on. I sometimes share these things with you. And no matter how tough something is or how, you know, fragile I'm feeling, whatever it is, I always try to find a positive way through it so that I get to the other side and back to my kind of Pollyanna self. And I know from comments over the years that actually loads of you find it useful and identify, etc., etc. So I'm already anticipating a gazillion thumbs down for this video. Don't care. I mean, I do a bit, but I kind of don't as well because, well, we'll go into that, the positives, in a bit. I've got some props for my positives. So I want to talk briefly right at the top of the video about trolls and trolling across social media. Horrid subject. And like I say, I was mulling over whether to discuss this or not because frankly, I don't want to give trolls the time of day. But on the other hand, it is really important, and there's a much, much wider message with it all. So I am going to talk about it. Now, the first thing to say is I've got quite a narrow kind of definition or idea of what a troll is. So, for example, if I get a comment on one of my videos that disagrees with what I'm doing, or someone says, oh, you should do this, not that, that is not a troll to me. That's just someone with a different opinion. Quite often I think it's someone who's trying to be helpful, but maybe their language has got a little bit of either negativity or just slightly aggressive tone to it. But to me, that's not a troll. It's just someone with a different opinion. And that's fine, because that's the truth of life. You know, we all have our own ideas about things, and generally speaking, we'll form bonds and friendship groups with people who are like-minded. But even with that, you know, I've got a handful of really good friends. I mean, I've got lots of really good friends, but I've got a handful, I can think of some of them straight away, who really challenge me, really challenge me, because I might think something, say something, and they'll come down on me like a ton of bricks and say, hang on a minute, with a very different opinion And that's great, because quite often, if we keep these open and this shut, I'm like Judge Judy now, aren't I? God gave you 2 of these and 1 of these. Yeah, quite often with those friends of mine who challenge me and my ideas, I come away afterwards and think, do you know what? They might be right, actually. I might take that on board. So like I say, having a difference of opinion is not an issue, and that does not make someone a troll. And I do remember once I had, about 2 months ago, a comment on my channel, and then another lovely viewer wrote underneath, "Stop trolling her." And I privately messaged that person to say, I don't consider this trolling. It's fine. People are allowed to have other opinions. It's absolutely fine. No, to me, a troll is someone who, it's got nothing to do with the material of the video, for example. It's purely a comment meant to hurt or to degrade or to undermine. A comment that's about personal stuff. You know, for instance, if someone was to comment on my looks, if I've been discussing, I don't know, how to sew and plant brassicas, and they come in at me and have a go about my looks, that's kind of getting into the trolling thing to me, because there's nothing I can do about the way I look. It's genetic, you know. I was born like this. I mean, I wasn't born like this. I've grown. But yeah, or what happens a lot is I get messages sent privately, and I'm always really wary of that, because if someone comments publicly, so on my YouTube channel, the chances are one of you lovely people will, you know, come to my defence, so I feel like I'm not dealing with it on my own. But when people send messages privately that are just plain nasty, it's just horrible. You know, if someone sends me a message and they say something like, "Has anyone ever told you that you're a waste of time and space?" You know, what am I supposed to do with that? Now, historically, I have tried to answer that. You know, I try to be polite. I'll say something like, "Yes, thank you. I've been frequently told that." Just try to disarm them. But recently I've had a couple during June that it just got too much. It just got too much. One of them was having a right go at me. I tried to respond. I tried to reply in an adult, gentle way. Then I got another reply. It was like an essay, and actually started to slag off other commenters. You know, you guys who watch and comment. And that was it. You do not be mean to my viewers. And there was another one, which was just one of 3 years worth of just these kind of insidious, little snarky remarks all the time. Sometimes just a sentence, but always tinged with negativity, nastiness. A few have been, it's almost as if this person hates me. I mean, how can they hate me? They don't know me. Anyway, so yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I'd been in the garden all day, working my butt off, getting to that stage of I've nearly planted everything. It was great. And then once all that was done, I had a big tidying session, and then the watering, and I didn't get home till about 9 o'clock. And by the time I got home, I was in so much pain from my knees. I mean, pain like, I'm going to cry, I'm going to try and keep it together. But because I'd been out all day, I mean, I'd probably been out sort of 12 hours, I turned the computer on because I'd had a video up the previous day, so I knew there would be some comments to answer. And I've always answered everyone, whether it's a comment on the videos a message privately sent via my Facebook page, emails sometimes, whatever, I answer everyone with an individual personal reply. Sometimes that's only a line, just to say thank you. Sometimes it can be a long paragraph. If someone has asked me about, for instance, with my beans, the difference between, saving them demi-sec or saving them dried. I love it. I love it. It does take time, but it's time I enjoy because, as I've always said, it's one of the joys of social media is the interaction and the feeling that over time we're actually forming friendships and bonds together. It really is lovely. So on that particular evening, I turned the computer on, answered a few comments, and then I was just totally stopped in my tracks by a comment. It was just horrible. It was just really horrible. And I just didn't know what to say in response because, like I say, normally I would try to reply gently, politely. I might even say, oh gosh, that seems a bit harsh. I'm sure you didn't mean it so harshly. But with this one comment, I just didn't know what to say. I mean, my first thought, what I wanted to say was, do you know what? Shut up, you nasty, bitter, mean, dried up old shrew. Shut up, get lost, bitch. Sorry, excuse my language. That was how I wanted to respond. But of course, I would never speak to anyone like that. I might think it, but I would never speak to someone like that. I was brought up that if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. That's it. So, crikey, I was just staring at it for ages and ages. Honestly, it floored me. It totally floored me. And then I had a bit of a cry. And then I just thought, do you know what? Turn this off. Go and have your bath. Go to bed. So I did. I lay in bed for ages. And this comment was going around and around in my brain. And I was saying to myself, Vivi, stop giving this person time in your head. Just stop it. Go to sleep. So next morning I got up, excuse me, turned the computer on, was answering my emails. And then the inevitable, I came back to the messages and I thought, I was looking at it again and I just didn't know how to answer it. I did not know how to answer it. And then I was thinking, would you say that to my face? If we were in the same room, would you actually say that to me? Because firstly, if you did, I'd punch your bloody lights out. I wouldn't. I would never resort to physical violence. But I'd probably give you a mouthful. Why am I not free to do that on my own channel? It's my channel. But I don't want to because I don't want to put that kind of stuff out there into the universe. Excuse me. The more I was thinking about it, the more I was getting angry with myself for wasting so much time on this person. But also I was thinking, if this person was in my home, if I'd invited this person to dinner and they said that to me, I wouldn't think twice about it. I'd turf them out of my house, I'd lock my door and I'd shout through the door, never ever come back here, you are not welcome. No one speaks like that in my presence, in my house, I don't care. Don't speak like that to someone else. If I heard you speaking like that to someone else in my house, I'd kick you out. It's not just about saying it to me, it's about saying it to anyone. You're out, gone, goodbye. So this was going around and then I suddenly remembered that 2 weeks prior to this, it's one of the great things that has come out of lockdown. I'm a huge fan of Ramesh Ranganathan. I always want to say Ranganation because of the TV show. Yeah, I'm a huge Rom fan. And he'd been doing a kind of a live Friday night broadcast from his house. Kids going crazy in the background. Him and his missus, Lisa. God, she has the patience of a saint. Hilariously, so many times when they're chatting, she's just rolling her eyes like She's been through this time and time again. Anyway, so Rom, for those of you who don't know, is a comedian over here in the UK. Cracks me up right royally. So I've been tuning in to them on a Friday night, and coming back to this trolley thing. So when you tune in, you can see, you know, people are putting their comments in and questions, and then Rom and Lisa, they interact and respond and answer questions, what have you. And over a number of weeks, there was this one guy who was just leaving really nasty comments, and they were getting more and more nasty and more personal. And so, yeah, a couple of weeks ago when I was watching, this guy appeared, and I could see Lisa's face dropped momentarily, and she sort of nudged Ramesh and was pointing at, they've got a screen that they look at to see the questions coming in, but they've got the camera. So their eyes are to us, but they're kind of looking down there for the questions. So she'd nudged him and pointed him, and he looked down and he was like, oh, not again, And then he sort of made a joke about, you know, this guy being back in the house and Much the same approach as I've taken with this sort of scenario, where you just try to laugh it off, or say, like I say, with that kind of person who says, has anyone ever told you you're ugly? I get that one a lot. Is just reply, yeah, you know, but thank goodness I've got a big brain. So during this show, so they mentioned, is like, oh, he's back in the house, and then they carried on with what they'd been trying to say, and then Rom just kind of stopped it all, and he said, do you know what, I've had enough of this. He pressed delete, so he deleted this guy's comment. Guy comments again, of course he does. And then Ron was like, hang on, I can block him, can't I? I can actually block him. You know where I'm going now, don't you? Long and the short is, Ramesh decided to block this guy, so this guy can no longer comment. And you could see the kind of relief in him afterwards. Lisa was a bit like, oh, you can't do that, you can't block people, you know, freedom of speech and all that, which is exactly how I've always felt. But Ron was like, listen, this is my playpen, another Judge Judaism. It's my playpen. He's not nice. He's not welcome here. Get rid of him. So that suddenly came back to me that day a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, block. Just block him. So yeah, in one swift move, I blocked 2 people. And then I blocked 2 more. So I've now got 4 people who are blocked. And at first I thought, oh God, that's awful, you know, because of the whole freedom of speech thing. But then after about half an hour, I just started to feel this huge sense of relief of thinking, I'll never have to deal with these people again. I never have to read their nasty words again. I never have to waste my time, my emotional energy. I don't have to waste it on these people anymore. Fantastic. Why didn't I think of that so much longer ago? Oh. Now, I know that may seem like a small thing that I'm making a big deal of, but I think, you know, it's important to remember a couple of things here. I live on my own, so it's not like I get a message like that and I can share it with my partner or housemate and say, oh my God, look at this, look what's being said to me. And that person, if I was that person's flatmate, if I was my own flatmate, I'd be like, I'd press the delete button for them. I'd say, ignore it, don't give them any time, come on, let's go in the kitchen, let's make a meal together, or you go on the sofa, go in the bath, I'm going to make dinner for you. There would be someone around who could distract me from it, you know, calm me down again, whatever. But I don't have that. I don't have anyone to chew this over with privately. So that's why it can sort of get stuck in here and go around and around and around. I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to share this today, is just that thing of we all need to learn in real life too to delete and block. So that's tough enough normally. But you know, for goodness sakes, we're in lockdown. It's been really hard. It's been really hard. you know, I see a handful of friends at the allotment. At the weekends, I Skype with friends sometimes. But essentially, you know, I'm not going to get weepy about this because I think I've gone beyond weeping. I'm more in the angry stage now. I just think, for God's sake, of all the times in all of our lives, surely this is a time when we should be gentle with each other, when we should be understanding and reaching out to each other and giving each other love and support and encouragement. We should be building each other up, not tearing each other down. It's just vile. It's vile people. And yes, I know it says everything about them and nothing about me. And they always say, you know, sticks and stones break your bones, names will never hurt you. But it's not true. Names do hurt. So here we are in lockdown. I've got a massively reduced support system. Massively reduced. I've struggled with that. I've struggled so hard with it. There are days, you know, if I don't go to the garden, there are days I don't see or speak to anyone other than the interactions I have with folk through social media. So to read those kind of things when I'm already low, oh, yeah, like I say, it's vile, absolutely vile. You know, and it's like the thumbs down thing. Actually, Paul was touching on this in his recent video, his recent Sunday chat with Richard, that if someone gives me a thumbs down within seconds of my video going live, you know it's trolling. Because how can you possibly form an opinion about something in so few seconds? Anyway, gosh, sorry, this is probably going to be a long, chatty one today. Oh, sorry, getting comfy again. The point is this, I'm just looking at notes. I made loads of notes for today because I really don't want to forget things. The bottom line is this. I wouldn't accept that behaviour in my house, and actually my channel is an extension of my house, so from now on I am not going to accept that sort of behaviour. Zero tolerance from me. If anybody leaves a comment which is nasty towards any of my viewers, you are out. If anyone leaves a comment that's pure and simply nasty to me, you're out. If you've got a different opinion to me and you speak to me as an adult in a decent way, of course, that's absolutely fine. I can't please all the people all the time. Of course I can't. Look, there are people out there I don't particularly like, not on a personal level, like, say, in a presenting style. There's a presenter on UK TV, does a lot of natural history type programmes. I just don't like her style of presentation. I've got nothing against her, personally. How could I have? I don't know her. I just don't particularly like her presentation, so I don't watch her shows. What I don't do is write to her and tell her that she's a waste of space and that she's ugly and that her whole life is a piece of crap. Of course not. So yes, let us acknowledge that there are people out there who aren't going to like us, and there are people who obviously really don't like me and really hate me for no reason whatsoever. And no matter what I say or do, I'm not going to change their opinions. So I'm not going to spend my time and energy trying to do that. My time and energy will go on giving love to people who are decent and who enjoy spending some time with me. Right. So, what else did I want to talk about today? Right. So, yes, really positive stuff. Now, you know, like I say, I'm sure there are some of you thinking I shouldn't have spent so long even discussing that, but it is a part of my life, and every now and again, like I said, by about the middle of June, it does get to me. Like I say, lockdown has been hard. I have found it hard in some respects. I have been lonely. I have been a bit down in the dumps at times. You know, I've been tired from getting the garden sorted, but it's sorted. All these things, and it's just it's just really hard when, you know, when people are just nasty for no reason whatsoever. But they are few and far between, thank goodness. So I would say to you, I know it's harder in real life, but if you've got, you know, let's talk about toxic friends for a minute and what we mean by that. And sometimes you have to get to rock bottom before you realise it. Sometimes you have people in your life, and they may have been in your life for quite some time, who, there's a kind of codependency thing goes on as well, who will sometimes make you feel great. They're complimentary, they're encouraging, but then you realise actually quite a lot of the time they're sort of undermining you, laughing at you, chipping away at you. You don't need it. Dump them. If it's on your Facebook, have a purge of Facebook. If you've got someone who always replies to your statuses, I still haven't worked that one out. If you put a photo on and they always say something that's slightly sarky, maybe, and every time you read one of their comments on your status, your heart sinks a bit, get rid of them. Take them off. You don't need it. Why would you keep that kind of person in your life? I mean, it's harder if it's in the workplace. I have experienced that myself in the workplace. There was one colleague in particular who just made my life miserable every shift. And it took about 6 months, and this is the other thing with me, I can take it, and then one day it's just too much, and I've had enough, and I have to do something about it. I will advocate for someone else straight away. I'm not very good at advocating for myself, it takes time. But yeah, I went to my ward manager and I said, look, this is just, it's untenable. I can't do it anymore. And she completely understood. We didn't have to take it further in terms of anything formal, but all she did was she made sure that we were never on the same shift again. It was such a relief. It was brilliant. So yeah, if you've got negative people in your life, if you've got that kind of person who's always just giving you the slightly sarky comments, dump them. None of us need that. Now, what I do love is the vast majority of you, all of you. And what I really love is surprise post. So, can you hear the rattling? Got seeds. So I had this lovely card. See, it's made up of little kitties. So cute. This is from, I'm going to actually use your, I was going to say stage name, it's not a stage name, your online name, because you know who you are. Anyway, Otis, thank you. So, a lovely card. Lovely packet of white cosmos. I really love white flowers. They're so pretty. And these are dwarf ones. They'll only get to 2 feet. So I'm thinking maybe next year, because I do love white, especially by the shed, because the shed gets into shade by 2 in the afternoon. And I just think white flowers by the shed, they pop in that shade. And then in the dusk, light gorgeous. So thank you, Otis. Going with that name. Then, oh my goodness, a load of pictures of his garden. And this is the absolute joy I get from doing YouTube, and the whole point of me doing it in the first place. I wanted to share my story. Partly it was something to do after I'd left work. I just wanted to share that kind of the joy of gardening, the passion of growing my own and cooking my own, the joy of living a frugal life, because really it is joyful. Sometimes it's hard, but it's mostly joyful. And also to just kind of, in a way, encourage others to not necessarily jack their jobs in and go without a wage like me, because that might be a step too far, but to at least have a go at growing some of your own food. So the gorgeous Otis now has a vegetable garden. I wonder how clear that's going to be to see. Look, isn't it gorgeous? It's so a gardener. Now, some of the spaces, they look quite big and bare at the moment, but they're full of squash, so they're going to be covered. Some other shots of the garden. And then I wanted to find, oh, Max, the lab boxer cross. He's gorgeous. And then there's the cat. What's the cat called? I can't find the cat photo. Oh, Priscilla, the queen cat. Lovely. Thank you so much, Otis, for sending those. That's absolutely gorgeous. And this is back to that thing I was just saying a second ago. Getting my thoughts all over the place now because I'm getting happy and giddy. Our lovely friend Otis has been, I think he's just done his 4th month without a wage. Amazing. And he sent me this really lovely letter. I have to be careful to cover details up. Yeah, really, really lovely letter. Just letting me know how he's getting on with life without a wage, getting his garden going. And just really beautiful words to me, to say thank you to me for what I've done with my videos. And I'm not doing this as a big head moment or an ego boost. But right back to the beginning of this video when I was saying that I know I'll get a load of thumbs down, because I always do, for my thoughts on videos. One of the reasons I've stuck with them is because generally when I do these videos, almost always, I'm tackling a difficult emotional subject. And so many folk, either in comments or letters or in messages, write to me to say thank you, that really resonated, that's really helped me today. So do you know what? Yeah, we're going to keep doing them. And we're going to keep talking about difficult stuff like how to deal with horrible, nasty people. We put them in the bin. So I was going to read you some bits of this letter today, but actually I'm going to keep it private. But just to say, you know, I really, really, really appreciate this kind of thing. Not just because it's really beautiful words to me saying thank you, but because it's just so lovely to hear about other people having a go and getting on and succeeding and growing veggies. La vita è bella. So that's Otis. Thank you, Otis. I also had a surprise parcel. Now, I don't know who it's from. Let me try and show you. Can you see that? It's a selection box of tea. And it's by this company called Tea Pigs. Really, really, really lovely tea. So I've got samples of all sorts. The big one is peppermint. Fab. I love my peppermint. Now, what's great, I'm just going to read you what they say on the side. All their packaging is plant-based. So you see that? It's not plastic. So the tea bags themselves are made of cornstarch, so they can go in the compost. Because a lot of our tea bags these days, they've got some sort of like regular tea bags, you know, normal tea, as opposed to fairy tea. They've got some sort of plastic in. The bags themselves don't rot. So that's great. These will rot down. The inner bag, that's this that's sort of containing them all. This is amazing. It's made from wood pulp. And it can go either in the council food waste collection, things that most people in the UK have. I don't know how it is in the rest of the world. Or in your own home compost. And then obviously the outer carton is just cardboard, so that can be ripped up and put in the compost. Literally, this whole thing can go in the compost. I love that. I absolutely adore practical gifts. I love gifts of, you know, that are food. And by the way, for the negative Nellies, no, I'm not asking for gifts. I'm just saying in life in general, I love practical gifts. But something like this where everything can end up in the compost, brilliant. So I've got some peppermint, and then, oh my goodness, I'll just rattle through a few of these because they're lovely flavours. Oh, chamomile. Okay, so that's kind of bog standard. apple and cinnamon, where have my teeth gone? Apple and cinnamon. Oh my God. Chocolate and mint. Superfruit. I think that's berries, coloured berries. Coloured berries, you know what I mean? I have had a look through. I haven't had one yet. I'm going to though. Rhubarb and ginger. Licorice and peppermint. That may be an acquired taste. I mean, I love mint. Licorice. Wait and see. Energy tea. What's energy tea got in it? God, the writing's so small. I think I'm going to get to the stage where I need reading glasses. God, aging. Hibiscus, beetroot, ginger, green tea and carrot. Oh, yum! That sounds like the kind of stuff I have cold, whizzed up in my NutriBullet. And then the last one is relaxing. Excuse me. Chamomile, lemongrass, lemon balm, and valerian. Lovely. So look, I don't know. It didn't have a gift note in there. It didn't have anything in there. So I don't know who sent them. Please identify yourself, because I'd like to say thank you properly. But in the absence of that for now, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, these simple pleasures in life, just, you know, the treat of some different tea to try, the treat of a lovely letter and photographs. You know, this is something I'm always banging on about, is just sending a random postcard to someone you haven't spoken to for a while, or even someone you have spoken to. And it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. But why don't we spend more energy and more time saying nice things? You know, send a postcard to someone and just say, by the way, I hope you realise that I love you. You do know that I love you, don't you? I hope you know. Just make someone's day today rather than destroying someone's day. I mean, it's not difficult, is it? Really? Is it difficult to be lovely? No, not at all. Now, getting comfy. Oh my goodness, I've realised I've gone on for ages today. I didn't mean to. What's new? It's like, maybe it's worse during lockdown because I don't talk so much. Anyway, the other day I mentioned a really special treat on my Facebook page. And I'm just going to mention it again now because I know some of you don't do Facebook. A few days ago, for the first time in probably about a decade, I ate an orange. Oh my goodness, it was so good. So I had a mixed response to that status. Most people were like, oh, I can imagine the bliss. But a couple of people were like, why don't you just, you know, oranges are not expensive, just buy them. Well, the thing is, I generally don't buy them because of food miles. That's one thing. And I also tend not to buy anything unless I actually need it. And I don't need an orange in my diet. I've got all sorts of other sources of vitamin C, what have you. And you could say, oh, just treat yourself once a week. But the thing is, I have thought about this in the last couple of days, you know, if we put treats in our shopping trolley or our shopping baskets each week, they stop being treats pretty quickly. You know, if you've got a bar of chocolate in your shopping basket every week, that's just part of your weekly shop then, isn't it? It's not a treat. Now, I'm not saying we should all live like nuns and monks in huge self-denial all the time. Not at all. It's just that, you know, I think as a society these days, we've got too used to the idea of we can have treats like almost every day. That's not a treat. A treat is something like once a year at Christmas maybe, or what have you. So anyway, back to this orange. I had no intention of buying an orange that day. I was running an errand and I had one of those moments where I had to stop in the street for a minute because my knees were killing me. And I stopped and I was outside a greengrocer, and it was the very late afternoon sun. It's probably about 6:37 in the evening, in fact. It was last week during the heat wave. Where did that go? And the sun was catching on these oranges and they looked amazing. And I just was like, I have to have one. And so I brought it home. I felt so guilty because of the food miles thing. Oh, what a treat. And the thing is, I sound wheezy today, I don't know why. I spent ages, I was just looking at it. I was just fondling it in my hand and really looking at the skin, and I just kept smelling it. Oh, it's just extending the gratification. And then I put my thumbnail in to get the first bit of peel, and I'd forgotten that sensation of, you know, that little pss of oil when you first put your thumb in. Pss, it's almost like a misting of oil that I could see because the light was the other side. So, the little mist. And that first smell as the oil is released. Oh my goodness. It was just incredible. That first little squirt, I was salivating so hard. And the whole kind of, that whole sort of visceral memory and visceral pleasure of getting the skin off, then pulling the orange in half to get my first segment. And, is there too much pith? Do I want to peel the pith off? No, I'm going to have the pith too. The first bite, the burst of juice inside my mouth. My fingers sticky, glistening with orange oil and orange juice. Oh my. It's kind of hard to explain, but I was making noises whilst I was doing it. I finished it and it was so beautiful. And the smell on my fingertips of the orange. Oh, it was in the evening by the time I had it. It was probably about 9:30, 10. I didn't have a wash before I went to bed that night. I sort of curled up, I had my hands on my pillow and I could smell the orange. Oh, it was just beautiful. I think it was a really beautiful reminder to me that there is so much in life we take for granted that's actually really, really special and beautiful and miraculous in some ways. It was a real reminder to myself to, have that mental awareness, to take time to be in a moment with something, whether it's my food, whether it's with a friend I haven't seen for a while, taking the time to look at her face or his face, taking that time in the garden to just hear the garden. Yeah. So, you see, I said there was a ton of positive, didn't I? And I've got to say the positives massively outweigh any negatives in my life. And for that, I'm truly thankful and blessed. I think sometimes we can look for the negatives. Let's look for the positives. Let's have, not necessarily every single day, but let's say on a couple or more days a week, let's find those moments to find something truly beautiful and positive in the day. To not take things for granted which are beautiful, including our friends. Write to one of your friends today, tell them you love them. Or, if you're not into using the L word, some people are shy of that, just write to them and say, you know what, I don't think I've told you in quite some time, but I think you're really, really funny. If they are funny. If they're not funny, don't say that, because then it's going to be like, you being sarky? Are you trolling me on a postcard? You know what I mean? Anyway, the point of all of this is the negative, the nasty Nellies, let's push them out of our lives. We can't do anything about their attitude. We can't change them. It's not up to us to change them. The only thing we can change is ourselves. And the change in ourselves we can make is to say, you know what, it's okay to shut that person out. It's okay to get rid of that person. It's okay to not be okay with them being in our lives. Bye-bye. So, positives, treats, beautiful moments, in the moment, all good stuff. So on that note, I'm going to say cheerio to you all for now. Looks like the drizzle is stopping, so it looks like I may be able to go and play in the garden for a little while. Oh, can't wait. The next time you see me, it's July tomorrow. How has that happened? So the next time you see me, I'll be back to doing my tour of the garden at the beginning of the month. So it's only going to have been about 9 of 30, 21. It's only 3 weeks since I did the last tour. And hopefully you'll be as delighted as me with the changes and the growth out there. But that's not for a couple of days. I'll see you then. In the meantime, please look after yourselves, look after each other, use positive, life-affirming language. I can't think what else to say, but that's it, isn't it? Use positive, affirming language. Build someone up today. If you can, do it, go for it. See you all soon.